In the stillness of the night, in a world where the word of the Lord was rare and visions were not widespread, a voice calls out to a child who does not yet know God. The child rests next to the Ark of the Covenant, the very seat of God. His master, whose eyesight grows dim, lies down in his own room, the lamp of God not yet gone out. Hearing a voice calling his name, Samuel jumps up and runs to Eli, his master, ever quick to serve. Samuel says, "Here I am, for you called me." "I did not call. Go lie down, my son." 3 times Samuel hears his name and runs to his master Eli. Samuel having no understanding of God because he is so young. Eli, slowly fading from life, in his wisdom recognizes it is God's voice the boy hears. Eli says to Samuel, "Go lie down, and when you hear the voice say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" And God comes and stands next to Samuel, calling his name. Samuel says, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." And God lays on him what he will do to Eli and to Eli's sons for their iniquity, because they have abused their positions. It is a harsh message. In the morning, Eli asked Samuel, "What did he say? What did God say to you? Tell me. You must tell me." Mustering his courage, Samuel tells Eli what God said. In the brightness of the day, Nathanael prays under a fig tree. Philip, called by Jesus, invited to follow me, cannot hold this truth to himself. "Nathanael, we found him. We found the one Moses and the prophets wrote about. He is Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth." Nathanael questions, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Nazareth was a small, out-of-the-way village. "Just come and see." Jesus sees Nathanael coming and says, "Here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." "Where did you get to know me?" says Nathanael. "I saw you even before Philip called you." Only God has such intimate knowledge of each one of us. From before we are born, God watches as our bodies develop, is aware of every thought, every breath, every moment of our life. God listens to our heart desires and invites each one of us to more. Nathanael responds, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Nathanael has received the gift of being recognized, known in the privacy of his prayer. As Philip said, "Come and see," Jesus now says, "You will see much greater things. You will see heaven and earth bridged in the Son of Man. You will see angels of God ascending and descending. The vision Jacob dreamed, Nathanael will see. Heaven and earth are brought together in Jesus." Nathanael, who is skeptical at first, recognizes the Lord and is truly without deceit, stands in comparison to Jacob, a man known for being deceitful. Remember how he duped his father to steal his brother's birthright? And he was on the run when he had the dream of the angels ascending and descending the ladder between heaven and earth. Samuel and Nathanael were both sought out to serve God. For Samuel, it was an encounter in the still of the night. For Nathanael, he was in the quiet of prayer. Samuel was young and didn't even know God. Nathanael was purposely searching for God. Philip readily accepted the invitation. Eli was slowly fading after serving at God's altar most of his life. It is different for each one. Yet whether we are searching for God or not, I believe God is always searching for each one of us to lead us beyond ourselves unto the comfort and out of the comfort or routine as we know it, if we dare to follow. It may take us a while to recognize God's voice like Samuel, or we may be slow to recognize that it is God's voice like Eli, or we may even be skeptical of where the invitation is coming from or who is offering it, like Nathaniel. We may not even be listening or expecting to be sought out or found by God. We may doubt that God would even consider calling me, searching for me. And you might say, oh, I'm too young, or I'm too old, I'm too jaded, too busy, too distracted. I have nothing to offer. I do not know God. I have no gifts. I am not holy, whatever that may mean. Yet I truly believe God is patiently waiting for a moment to break into our lives. God is constantly searching for us, hearing us, seeing us in our darkness, and calls to each of us. In the dark of the night, in the middle of the day, at dawn and even at dusk, calling each one to shine with the radiance of Christ's glory in whatever state we are found to be. Tomorrow we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr., who willingly said, "Here I am. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." He accepted God's invitation to serve. He was a man who stood strong in his faith and his deep desire for justice for God's people. God is calling out your name. Do you want to be found? Are you willing to say, "Here I am, for you called me"?